You've heard that Saudi royals are rich. But what if I told you that one royal family quietly controls over 1.4 trillion, and almost no one talks about it? They could buy Apple, Amazon, and Tesla, and still have billions left over. This isn't just oil money. This is a financial empire built on secret investments, global influence, and untouchable power. Imagine private jets covered in gold, palaces larger than stadiums, luxury watches worth more than houses, and $80 million gifts handed out like party favors. But what's really shocking? It's how Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and his family built this empire using non-traditional methods, combining royalty, government control, and private business deals in a way no other country could get away with. And it's not just about money. It's about power that stretches into tech, politics, sports, and global media. Stay with me, because the real secret behind this wealth will change how you see global power. Forever. The world says the Saudi royal family is worth $1.4 trillion, but that's just the number they let us see. The real wealth, it might be far more, and almost impossible to trace. That's because the House of Saud isn't just one king and queen. It's over 15,000 royal family members, many of them holding shares in oil, land, tech companies, and government contracts. Some cousins are quiet billionaires, flying private while staying off every rich list. And while many Saudis live on about $20,000 per year, some royals spend that much in one night, on dinner, cars, or a single watch. That's where the tension begins. To the public, Saudi Arabia is a country, but to the royal family, it's also a business. And here's the twist. The line between public money and private wealth in Saudi Arabia is blurry. On purpose. Aramco, the world's most profitable oil company, is technically state-owned, but top royals control it, make decisions behind closed doors, and quietly collect wealth through side deals, commissions, and offshore accounts. This means billions flow from public resources right into private hands. There are no tax returns, no financial disclosures, no audits, no real way to prove where the oil money stops and where royal wealth begins. And yet, no one questions it. Because in Saudi Arabia, questioning power is dangerous. So how do they hide it all? They don't keep it in savings accounts or stock portfolios like most billionaires. They buy mega mansions in London, sports teams in Europe, shares in Uber and SoftBank, and stash funds through networks of shell companies and sovereign wealth funds that don't bear their names. It's a shadow system, wealth without fingerprints. And it works because the people running the country are the same ones benefiting from the money. That's how you keep a trillion-dollar empire invisible. But if the money's hidden, who helps them hide it? The secret behind the Saudi royal family's wealth. It's buried in oil, literally. At the center of it all is Aramco, the most profitable company in the world. In 2022 alone, Aramco made over $160 billion in profits. That's more than Apple, Google, or even Amazon. It's not just a company, it's a money printing machine. And the royal family controls it. How? Through something called the Public Investment Fund, PIF, a government-controlled fund led by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS. The PIF owns most of Aramco, which means MBS and his inner circle decide where the oil money goes. And it's not just funding hospitals or roads. Much of it disappears into private projects, royal perks, and deals the public never sees. Now here's where it gets even more secretive. Many members of the royal family get what's called silent stakes in Aramco. That means they earn millions every year. But there's no paperwork, no public records, no shareholder lists. They don't need to own anything on paper. They just get paid, quietly, forever. So when you hear that a Saudi prince just bought a $500 million yacht or flew his Falcon first class to Europe, chances are that money came from Aramco profits. It's wealth that looks like state money on the outside, but turns into private luxury behind the scenes, and the people can't question it. Because technically, the company belongs to the country. But in practice, it's controlled like a family business, one that happens to sell the world's most valuable resource. And unlike most oil companies, Aramco doesn't disclose full shareholder data. That means no one outside the royal circle really knows how much each prince or princess earns. And that's exactly how they like it. Because power in Saudi Arabia isn't just about being royal. It's about having access to the cash machine the world depends on. And Aramco is that machine. But the real question isn't just how much they have, it's what they do with it. Because when you have billions with no accountability, The next step isn't just buying things, it's buying influence. So let's go deeper. How does invisible oil money turn into real power on the world stage? When people say the Saudi royal family is rich, they don't mean just private jets or gold watches. They mean next-level spending, the kind that breaks reality. In 2015, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, quietly bought the most expensive home in the world. A French chateau with a moat, fountains, and a wine cellar big enough for hundreds, even though alcohol is banned in Saudi Arabia. The price? Over $300 million. But that was just the start. MBS also bought a $450 million Leonardo da Vinci painting, Salvator Mundi. And then there's the $500 million super yacht, complete with its own spa, movie theater, and helipad. Even his bodyguards wear designer brands. It's not just wealth, it's a show of power. But here's the problem. Where does all this money come from? Critics say much of it comes from public funds, oil profits, taxes, and state-controlled companies like Aramco. In other words, money that should be helping the people is being spent like personal cash. And the spending isn't subtle. There are stories of princes tipping $100,000 for hotel staff, or buying entire floors of five-star hotels for just one night. Meanwhile, in parts of Saudi Arabia, some families still struggle to afford healthcare and housing. That's where the conflict grows. The kingdom preaches modesty, but its rulers live in mega luxury. So why don't more people speak out? Because in Saudi Arabia, criticizing the royal family is dangerous. Writers, activists, and even princes who ask questions have been silenced, jailed, or exiled. And many Saudis, even if they're frustrated, are afraid to say anything out loud. Because they know this empire protects itself. So the palaces stay quiet, the jets stay fueled, and the art, the watches, the yachts, they just keep growing. But now comes the real question. Can anyone inside the kingdom actually challenge this system? Is there any voice bold enough to speak truth to this much power? Yes, there have been power struggles inside the royal family. And they weren't quiet. They were bloody. In 2017, something shocking happened. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, ordered the arrest of over 400 royal family members, top businessmen, and officials. Where did he put them? Not prison. He locked them inside the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh, turning a luxury hotel into a giant prison. Some princes were tied up and beaten. Others were forced to sign away billions from their bank accounts. That one move recovered over $100 billion in corrupt money. In just a few weeks, the world watched in disbelief. But inside Saudi Arabia, people were afraid. These weren't criminals. They were MBS's uncles, cousins, and rivals. Some begged for their lives. A few were never seen again. One top general reported dead from a heart attack, but rumors say torture. MBS called it an anti-corruption crackdown, but critics said it was a power grab, a warning to anyone who might challenge him. The message was loud and clear: fall in line or disappear. And it worked. After that night, no one questioned who was in charge. Even powerful royals stayed silent. But here's what's really wild. Many Saudis cheered. They were tired of corruption. They liked seeing spoiled billionaires get punished, even if it was brutal. So MBS used this moment to change his image. He wasn't just a prince. He was now a reformer, a tough leader, a man who would fix the country no matter what it took. But underneath the headlines was fear. If he could do that to his own family, what would he do to regular citizens? And if even billionaires could be locked up without warning, who's safe? Still, no one stopped him, because by removing his rivals, MBS cleared the way to full power. He became the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia. Young, rich, feared, untouchable. But here's the big question. Why would he take such a huge risk, turning on his own blood? What was he trying to protect or prepare for? So why did MBS lock up his own family? Simple. It was about gaining total control. And he did it all under the name of Vision 2030. On paper, Vision 2030 sounds like a plan to make Saudi Arabia better. Less oil, more jobs, more business. But behind the big slogans was something else. It became a smokescreen, a way for MBS to take over the economy. How? Through something called the Public Investment Fund, PIF. This fund is like Saudi Arabia's piggy bank. but with hundreds of billions of dollars, and MBS is in charge of all of it. He used that money to buy huge pieces of companies like Uber, Disney, Boeing, and Activision. He even bought an entire soccer team in the UK, Newcastle United. He's not just investing, he's buying influence, all while saying it's for the future of Saudi Arabia. But critics say it's something else. They call it economic colonization with oil money. In other words, using petrodollars to quietly take control of the world's biggest brands and companies. Why does this matter? Because power today isn't just about armies. It's about owning tech, media, transportation, and entertainment. And with Vision 2030, MBS is buying the future. And here's the thing, it works. Tourism is growing. International investors are coming in. Mega projects like NEOM, a $500 billion smart city, are in progress. The world sees a modern prince building a new Saudi Arabia. But inside the kingdom, everything still runs through him. There's no voting, no debate, no real press freedom. If you criticize Vision 2030, you disappear. If you question where the money goes, you get silenced. It's a one-man show, powered by oil and protected by fear. So while the West sees a smiling reformer, Saudi citizens see a ruler tightening his grip. Every company, every deal, every dollar, it all flows through the crown prince. That's not just leadership, that's total domination. And it raises a massive question. What's the end game? Is Vision 2030 about a better Saudi Arabia? Or is it about building a kingdom that no one, not even other royals, can ever challenge again? The Saudi royal family doesn't just have power in the Middle East. They have power all over the world. How? Money, and lots of it. Over the years, they've used their oil wealth to buy influence in places you wouldn't expect. They've given millions to top universities in the US, and the UK places like Harvard and Cambridge have taken big donations from Saudi royals. They've also supported politicians quietly, helping push for deals that favor the kingdom. Even in Hollywood, Saudi money has helped fund movies. Why? Because money buys silence. If you take their cash, you're less likely to criticize them, and it works. When journalists were murdered or activists jailed, many world leaders said nothing. Even after the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi journalist, many countries kept doing business as usual. Some of those same countries still sell weapons to Saudi Arabia. Why? Because the deals are worth billions. Governments need the money, companies want the profits, so they look the other way. That's the scary part. Even places that say they care about human rights or democracy stay quiet when the price is high enough. In return, Saudi Arabia keeps building its image. It hosts sports events, partners with global brands, and launches tourism ads showing smiling faces and beautiful deserts. But behind the scenes, it's a different story. Critics go to jail, women still face strict limits, and people who speak out disappear. Yet most of the world stays silent. Because when you're that rich, you don't need to follow the rules. You can just pay to rewrite them. This isn't just about oil anymore. It's about control over media, tech, sports, even what people believe. And the scary question is, if one family can influence countries, companies, and cultures, and no one stops them, do the rules even matter anymore? Or have we entered a world where money speaks louder than morals? And if that's true, what happens when this power turns darker? What happens when someone this rich is accused of something dark? Not much, because when you have unlimited money, you can make almost anything disappear. Over the years, the Saudi royal family has faced serious accusations. Things like jailing activists, torturing critics, and even murdering journalists. One of the most shocking cases, the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi journalist who spoke out against the crown prince. He walked into the Saudi consulate in Turkey and never came out. Later, investigators said he was killed and dismembered, on orders from the top. Many believed MBS himself approved it. But what happened? Nothing. Yes, there were headlines. Yes, people were shocked. But business kept going. World leaders still visited. Deals still happened. Money still flowed. Why? Because money talks. And Saudi Arabia has more than almost anyone. And it's not just one case. Lawsuits disappear. Critics are silenced. And those who try to speak up, they often vanish or end up in jail. Meanwhile, inside the palaces, the luxury continues. Gold-covered furniture, private zoos, giant yachts. while outside, women arrested for driving, bloggers jailed for writing, protesters crushed. Human rights groups keep warning the world. They write reports, they hold press events, they call for change, but nothing really changes. Because most governments don't want to lose Saudi money. They need the oil. They want the investments, so they turn their heads. Or worse, they pretend everything's fine. Saudi Arabia has gotten better at hiding it all. They spend billions on public relations. They hire Western firms to clean up their image. They run ads showing smiling tourists in modern cities. They launch new projects, sponsor sports teams, and donate to charities. So to the outside world, Saudi Arabia looks modern, friendly, open for business. But behind the scenes, censorship, fear, control, all protected by money. That's the darker truth. The more wealth they gain, the easier it gets to hide the bad stuff. And the more power they buy, the less anyone dares to say. So the big question is, how do they keep getting away with it? In the internet age, with cameras everywhere and news 24/7. What's the system behind the silence? How does one family stay so rich, so powerful, without the world knowing the full story? The answer is simple. Secrecy is the strategy. The Saudi royal family doesn't just make money, they hide it. They use shell companies, fake businesses that move money around. They create private bank accounts in countries where no one can see who owns what. They use proxies, other people's names, to buy homes, jets, even entire companies. And they do deals through encrypted systems, so there's no paper trail. Experts believe the world has only seen 40% of their real wealth. The rest, hidden. That's why it's hard to track them. And that's exactly the point. The more hidden their fortune is, the harder it is for anyone to question it. Even smart investigators and reporters hit walls. Because the tools used to hide this money are the same ones used by drug lords, spies, and billionaires. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about building a system so strong and invisible, no one can touch it. It's about owning media companies, influencing banks, and silencing leaks before they ever go public. And here's the real secret. There's one powerful tool that has helped them protect it all for years. It's not oil. It's not gold. It's the Sovereign Wealth Fund, a $700 billion pool of money controlled by just a few people. It invests in big tech, real estate, sports, and more. No one outside truly knows how it's managed. That fund helps them grow their power while keeping the system silent. When the money goes everywhere, it's hard to follow. And that's the whole design. This isn't just a fortune. It's a financial fortress, hidden behind laws, deals, and silence. The royal family doesn't just play the game. They've rewritten the rules and bought the scoreboard. So now we ask, if one family can hide this much wealth with this much power, what else in the world is being hidden right in front of us? This isn't just about being rich, it's about hiding power in plain sight. The Saudi royal family doesn't just own billions. They've built a system where the money becomes invisible. They don't just spend wealth, they control how wealth is seen. And they've done it through one key tool, the Public Investment Fund, PIF. It sounds like a national savings account, but in reality it acts like a private wallet for the royal family. They take money made from oil, a resource meant for the people, and use it to buy yachts, art, football clubs, private islands. And they do it legally, no rules are broken, no one is punished. Why? Because they wrote the rules. They say it's for modernization, but the truth is, it's just old power in new clothes. We don't just watch it happen, we celebrate it. World leaders shake hands, billion-dollar companies sign deals. News headlines call it progress. But under the surface, it's oil money turned into luxury. A nation's treasure turned into one family's empire. They're not just rich, they've changed the rules of global power. Because if one family can own this much and still be seen as modern heroes, what does that say about the rest of the world? What's real? What's hidden? And if they can buy this much control today, who will own the future tomorrow? Behind every royal smile is a trillion-dollar shadow. The jets, the gold, the palaces, they're real, but they're also just the surface. The real power, it's in the silence, the secrets, and the systems built to stay hidden. This wasn't just a story about Saudi Arabia. It was a story about how money can shape the world without ever being seen. Because the most powerful people on earth, they don't need to show off. They just make sure you never see the full picture. True power isn't about what's visible. It's about what's untouchable. So if you want more stories like this that reveal what's behind the curtain of global wealth and power, like, subscribe and turn on notifications. We go deep, we keep it real, and we won't stop asking questions. Now it's your turn. What do you think is the real cost of this kind of wealth? Is it freedom, truth, or something we haven't even seen yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read everyone. And remember, just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's clean.